254 names will be called on the stage in Nashville, Tennessee, over the course of 3 days this week. And many of those 2019 NFL draft class prospects come with fascinating backgrounds, pro connections and interests. A relative of a jazz music legend? No. 24. A film buff turned linebacker? No. 35. A boxing champion's son? No. 15. Mike Bibby's nephew? No. 48. How about a track and field record holder? Number 12. Let's get to know some of the players who could be drafted Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Note: Jim Carr of ESPN's Universal News Group, T.J. Burka of ESPN's NFL Team and ESPN Stats. Kentucky's Benny Snell Jr. was born to play running back. His father, Ben Snell, played in the XFL, and actually was the one who came up with the famous "He Hate Me" nickname, and his uncle played in the NFL for the Jets. 2. Offensive tackle Caleb McGarry has had 3 heart procedures. Playo Port 5-2 NFL Draft Profile. Caleb McGarry is a tall, well-built right tackle prospect out of Washington who is a very good run blocker and moves defenders off the ball when he keeps his pads down. 3. Rashawn Gary, the super athletic defensive end out of Michigan, already created his own sports agency, Rashawn Gary Sports. The agency represents Gary and Bowling Green defensive back Montre Gregory. 4. Kentucky cornerback Lonnie Johnson Jr. was originally supposed to play at Ohio State, but an ACT score he needed to count to be academically eligible had his last name spelled Johnnson, which negated the score. He ended up in junior college for 3 years before ultimately playing for the Wildcats. Lonnie said it was a computer mishap. 5. West Virginia QB Will Grier is not the most famous member of his family, at least by social media standards. Nash Grier, now 21, has 9.9 million followers on Instagram and 7 million on Twitter, and 18-year-old Hayes Grier was on Dancing with the Stars, and now has his own internet show called Top Grier. 6. Way before linebacker Devin Bush was tackling running backs at Michigan, his father, Devin Bush Sr., won the national championship in 1993 at Florida State, was a first-round draft pick in 1995 for the Atlanta Falcons and later won Super Bowl 34 with the St. Louis Rams. Playo Port 4 NFL Draft Profile. Devin Bush is a linebacker from Michigan who was named the Big Ten's Defensive Player of the Year in 2018. Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris could become the 6th and 7th Alabama running backs selected in the first or second rounds in the Nick Saban era, joining Mark Ingram, Trent Richardson, Eddie Lacy, T.J. Yeldon and Derrick Henry. 8. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, a highly regarded receiver at Stanford, was born in Zaragoza, Spain, and his parents were professional basketball players in Europe. 9. The Bosa family can join the Manning family as the only families in NFL history with a father and 2 sons who were first-round picks. Ohio State. Nick Bosa is the younger brother of the Los Angeles Chargers' Joey Bosa. Their father, John Bosa, and uncle, Eric Kumaro, were defensive ends for the Miami Dolphins in the 1980s. 10. Old Dominion has never had a player drafted, but it should have 2 this year. O'Shane Xamines is a highly regarded pass rusher, and Travis Fulgham is a late-round receiver. Playo Port 4-5 NFL Draft Profile. O'Shane Xamines is a defensive end from Old Dominion who was first-team Conference USA in 2018. 11. Michigan RB Karen Higdon spent last summer working as an intern for Blitz Prep, a company that helps former pro football players transition to new careers. 12. Paris Campbell's speed is well known since the Ohio State wide receiver dazzled with a 4.31 time in the 40-yard dash at the Combine. But he is also the state of Ohio's high school indoor track 60-yard dash record holder, 6.85 seconds. 13. Interested in quarterbacks with NFL ties? The uncle of Boise State's Brett Rypien is former Washington quarterback Mark Rypien, the MVP of Super Bowl 26, and Vanderbilt QB Kyle Shurmur's father, Pat. It is the coach of the New York Giants. 2019 NFL Draft went Thursday to Saturday where Nashville, Tennessee. How to watch: ABC, ESPN app. McShay 3-round mock. USC outside linebacker Porter Gustin consumes more than 10,000 calories a day, carrying a small blender with him all day and blending most of his meals into shakes. He does 300 push-ups and 300 sit-ups each night and drinks more than 2 gallons of water per day. 15. Elijah Holyfield is a son of former heavyweight boxing champion Evander Holyfield. Elijah was a boxer himself until he was 13 years old. 16. A two-time state champion wrestler, Temple cornerback Rocky Ya-Sin got his nickname from his wrestling coach. His real first name is Abdurrahman. Playo Port 49 NFL Draft Profile. Rocky Ya-Sin was a first-team All-American Athletic Conference selection at cornerback as a senior at Temple. 17. When drafted, Penn State RB Miles Sanders will become the 14th player from Woodland Hills High School in Pittsburgh to play in the NFL. Jason Taylor and Rob Gronkowski are also on the list. 18. Ole Miss slot receiver A.J. Brown was drafted by the San Diego Padres in the 19th round of the 2016 MLB Draft. He signed with the Padres but has yet to play in a minor league game. 19. San Jose State tight end Josh Oliver's uncle, Clancy Oliver, was an NFL defensive back, and his second cousin might be remembered by baseball fans. Darren Oliver was a relief pitcher for 20 MLB seasons. 20. Between his sophomore and junior seasons at Stanford, linebacker Bobby Okereke interned in the office of former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. 21. Arizona State wide receiver N'Keal Harry and Washington corner Byron Murphy are good friends, meeting when they were freshmen in high school. They played together during their sophomore high school season, and Harry actually lived with Murphy for a few months during that year. 22. Before Mark Fields was making plays as a corner for Clemson, his father, also named Mark, was the 1994 Pac-10 Defensive Player of the Year at Washington State, a first-round NFL draft pick and two-time Pro Bowler. Playo Port 53 NFL Draft Profile. Mark Fields is a cornerback out of Clemson who helped the Tigers win 2 national championships during his career. 23. Wide receiver Greg Dortch missed the last month of his 2017 season at Wake Forest after he punctured his small intestine diving onto a pylon. Before he went to the hospital for surgery, he scored 2 more touchdowns in that game. 24. Most people probably assumed Boston College defensive end Wyatt Ray would have been a musician rather than NFL player. He is a grandson of jazz musician Nat King Cole and nephew of singer Natalie Cole. Draft Academy documents the journey of 6 prospects: Nick Bosa, Marquise Brown, Drew Lock, Tyree Jackson, Jarrett Stidham and Josh Jacobs. Watch on ESPN 25. Buffalo wide receiver Anthony Johnson joins plenty of talented family members in the NFL. Houston Texans defensive end Jadeveon Clowney, Texans cornerback Jonathan Joseph and former Buffalo Bills safety Jonathan Meeks are his cousins. 26. Devin White owns 7 horses. Ricky Bobby was his first, but the LSU linebackers favored as Daisy May. 27. This draft class has a Michael Jackson, corner out of University of Miami, and a Joe Jackson, also from Miami. There's also a Michael Jordan, Ohio State guard, and Lil Jordan Humphrey, Texas WR named after MJ. And that Josh Allen high on draft boards isn't the Buffalo Bills QB, it's the playmaking edge rusher from Kentucky. Oh, and there are 2 David Longs, West Virginia linebacker David Long Jr. and Michigan corner David Long. 28. Remember the 13-year-old 7th grade QB who got national attention by committing to USC in 2010? It was David Silsby. But when USC and then West Virginia wanted him to change positions, he became a wide receiver for the Mountaineers. 29. Irv Smith Sr., Notre Dame, was the number 20 draft pick by the New Orleans Saints in 1993. His son, Irv Smith Jr., could also be a Day 1 selection and would be the third Alabama tight end drafted in the first round. Ozzie Newsome and O.J. Howard, play 057 NFL Draft Profile. Irv Smith Jr. Irv Smith Jr. is a tight end out of Alabama who caught 7 touchdowns for the Crimson Tide during his final season. 30. What makes Auburn corner Jamel Dean's 4.30 40 time fastest among all CBs this year and second fastest overall even more impressive? He tore his right ACL, the meniscus in his right knee, and his left ACL over his high school and college football careers. 31. Offensive tackle Maurice Simba of Concordia was separated from his parents for 15 years after they left the Democratic Republic of the Congo from Montreal when he was 3 years old. He was raised by his grandparents before being reunited with his parents in 2012. 32. During the 2017 off-season, USC inside linebacker Cameron Smith worked on a vineyard that specializes in Pinot Noir. 33. UNC offensive tackle William Sweet created a compression sleeve to reduce swelling after one has ACL surgery and is attempting to patent it. 34. Georgia receiver Riley Ridley played against his older brother, Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons, in the 2018 College Football Playoff Championship game. Now they might play against each other in the NFL. 35. Before he was playing inside linebacker for the University of Washington, Ben Burke-Irvin and his brother, Carter, grew up shooting movies and writing scripts together. Film remains a big part of Ben's life. 36. It remains to be seen who will pass protect for Oklahoma QB Kyler Murray in the NFL. But in high school, it was a pair of offensive linemen who are also in this draft class, Ole Miss Greg Little and Oklahoma's Bobby Evans. 37. West Virginia linebacker David Long Jr. is a son of David Long Sr., a former pro heavyweight boxer. The elder Long went the 2nd of May 12 and once fought Deontay Wilder. First Draft Podcast. Kipper, McShay and Sproul dissect the draft. Dakota Allen, a linebacker with Texas Tech, will be the first player drafted from Netflix's Last Chance U. 39. Before Chase Hansen played outside linebacker for Utah, he went on a 2-year Mormon mission to Australia, going door-to-door with a pro rugby player. 40. Alabama linebacker Christian Miller's dad, Corey, played linebacker at South Carolina and was a 6th-round pick of the New York Giants in 1991.41. Hall of Fame cornerback Herb Adderley won 5 titles with the Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys from 1961 to 1972 and as Delaware safety Nasir Adderley's twice-removed first cousin. Herb learned that the Packers picked him no. 12 overall in the 1961 NFL Draft by Telegram.playo. Port 59 NFL Draft Profile. Nasir Adderley is a versatile defensive back from Delaware with a strong blend of balance, fluidity and better closing burst than his 40 time would suggest. 42. Wonder why Chauncey Gardner changed his name to Chauncey Gardner Johnson? Although Brian Johnson is technically his stepfather, the Florida defensive back said Brian is like a father to him. So on New Year's Eve 2017, he tweeted the name change as a tribute, and soon after made it official. 43. Miami safeties Jaquan Johnson and Sheldrick Redwine grew up in the same Richmond Heights neighborhood and played football together for the Richmond Giants, Killian High and the Hurricanes. They even roomed together. 44. Eastern Michigan defensive end Max Crosby's older brother, Miles, is a Ford model who briefly played defensive back at SMU. 45. Michigan State safety Kari Willis was rushed to the hospital when he was a toddler after he developed a fever and became unconscious. Doctors determined Willis had an adenovirus that can be fatal. It took 3 days, but Willis regained consciousness. 46. 3 Washburn players have been drafted: Kerry Williams, Trey Lewis and Troy Steadman, but none before the 6th round. Cornerback Corey Ballentini hopes to be the first. Play 1 Port 2 NFL Draft Profile. Corey Ballentine. Washburn's Corey Ballentini has good top-end speed, can line up on the inside and the outside, and his playing speed matches timed speed. .47. Iman Marshall, a corner out of USC, played for former NFL linebacker Antonio Pierce at Long Beach Poly. The school also produced Juju Smith-Schuster, Harrell Casey, Jayon Brown and Deshaun Jackson. .48. Washington corner Byron Murphy was a standout high school basketball player, but that shouldn't be a surprise. His uncle is Mike Bibby, a former NBA point guard. Play 0 Port 45 NFL Draft Profile. Byron Murphy is a defensive back from Washington who earned first-team All-Pac-12 and second-team AP All-America accolades. .49. When he was 15 years old, Aziz Al-Shair, ILB at Florida Atlantic, saved his 2 younger brothers and niece from a kitchen blaze that burned his grandmother's house down. .50. BYU defensive end Corbin Kaufusi's mother, Michelle, became the first female mayor of Provo, Utah, in January 2018.